On today's episode of I'm going to go over stuff that is biblically important to me, and the way I'm going to go over this stuff is stuff that relates to me, because I can't talk about nothing that I've never experienced, or I can't relate to, or stuff that I cannot attest to what you go through, what you feel, what's going on in your head and everything. I don't feel it's right to go over anything if I can't understand it or come from a place where I know what it's like, because I think that'd be absolutely blasphemous to just go over something like just go over stuff and you have no idea what the hell you're talking about, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're crazy, and I would think so too, because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So when I'm going to go over stuff, when I'm going through my Bible studies and everything, I'm going to go over stuff that I struggle with, I have dealt with, I have gone through, or whatever. So that's how I'm going to go over stuff. And this one I've been going over for a couple days, was over depression, because I have suffered with that for a lot of times, or a lot of years. For many years, I want to pretend like I didn't. I want to literally pretend like it wasn't real, and I didn't have any problems or any struggles, or I was fine. It's not what I was dealing with. It was not what I had going on in my head, and there's no way I could ever admit that that was what was wrong with me or whatever. But it was for many, many years, and it rears its head every once in a while, and it's something I have struggled with. Not lately, because I've gotten past it, but nonetheless, it is something that's still in me, and then every once in a while it just pops up. But anyways, depression is real. Depression is something that a lot of people deal with, and it's not something easy to come back from or to save yourself from. You can't save yourself from it, because you get into such a place that you can't see the light. You can't bring yourself out of it. You cannot see past whatever's bothering you at the time to even think about the other side. You can't. You get into that place, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And sometimes you lose yourself to it. You completely lose yourself to it. And sometimes you don't come back from it. Some people they just take the way out that you don't think there's any other way. But there is another way. There is a completely different way. And the more I keep reading about it through the Bible, there is so much stuff in here in the Bible. It literally talks about depression. And I never knew. And I've read the Bible since I was 5, 6, 7 years old. And I've read it my whole entire life. But I've never actually understood it or read it until now. And understood things like I do now. And now I'm like, it's like mind blown, everything I keep reading. I was like, holy shit, that's just, everything was there all along. And I just couldn't hear it. I couldn't see it. I didn't want to see it. But anyways, the actual definition of depression, it says, according to Webster's dictionary, depression is defined as a state of feeling sad, melancholy, or having low spirits. It's defined as a mood disorder characterized by varying degrees of sadness, despair, loneliness, and inactivity, often accompanied by guilt and loss of concentration and sleep disturbances. Yes, and so much more. That's a very vague, gray area account of what depression is. And there I have a few things written down that was people have said over the years. This one was from J.R.R. Tolkien. Darkness cannot be seen, cannot be felt, cannot be heard, cannot be smelt. It lies behind the stars and under the hills, and in the empty holes it fills. It comes first and follows after. It ends life and kills all laughter. That's pretty deep. And this one was said, Martin Luther King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And then it says, some define darkness as anxiety, while for others it's depression. One may call on her darkness hatred, while other calls it bigotry. Depending on the person, darkness equals poverty, a chronic pain, a suicidal tendencies, and a host of other physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual ailments. However, the light of Christ chases away all darkness and all shadows. And then I started deep diving, reading. Totally deep diving. And there is so much stuff in the Bible about darkness and fighting those demons and everything that goes through your head, and telling you the way out and how to get out if you just actually trust in Him and actually want to get out of your own situation, want to get out of the stuff that is all in your head and everything you want to hold on to and everything that you think that is never going to get any better and never going to change, but it can. It really can. if you actually believe it can happen. Ephesians 6:12 said, we do not wrestle against the flesh and blood, but against rulers and authorities, and against the cosmic powers of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. Psalm 18:6 says, in my distress I cried out to the Lord. Yes, I prayed to my God for help, and he heard me, and from his sanctuary my cry to him reached his ears. Psalm 18:28 says, for it's you who light my lamp, my Lord, my God, who lights up my darkness. Isaiah 42:16 says, I will lead the blind by the way they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough patches smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them. John 1:5 says, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 12:46 says, Jesus said, I have come into this world as a light, so that no one who believes in me should ever stay in darkness. Ephesians 5:8 says, for though once your heart was full of darkness, now it's full of light from the Lord, and your behavior should show it. That's just a few. There's so many things in the Bible. It literally talks about darkness and how you can overcome it if you actually just leave it at Jesus' feet and trust him to change things, because you know you can't. You were literally in that pit, that freaking awful darkness pit that you think that nothing's going to get any better. Your life is just freaking terrible. Nothing is going to change. You are just in it. And you can't get out of it because your overwhelming thoughts and everything is in your head. Everything is just replaying. And until you actually decide to submit and give that stuff to God and get that stuff over and like lay it there and be done with it, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. Because trust me, when I sat in my pit of depression, my worst parts of my depression, the thoughts that went through my head, I can't even say on this channel because it was terrible. The things that I kept thinking and what I wanted to do to myself and all these things, it was absolutely terrible. You think that that's the only way to think, the only way that you can find solace in yourself, to keep just replaying and rethinking. But that's not the way to do it. You actually have to lay it down. You have to forgive it. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive whoever did those things to you. You have to get past it in order to lay it down and actually get anywhere. And that person that you lay it at as Jesus and God, because you can't do it anybody else, because everybody else is going to think you're freaking crazy all get out, because you're going through all this stuff in your head and people don't get it. And unless you've actually been through those situations or whatever situation you're going through, people don't understand it. They don't get it. Why would they? They haven't been through it. They don't know. And unless you've actually been there. So there's only one person that actually is going to get it, because he knows your heart, he knows your soul, he knows everything you're going through. And to leave it at him and trust him to take those things and actually change your life and change your mindset and change your heart and change everything that you're just freaking obsessing over. That's the only way to do it, because he knows more than anybody else how to come into your heart and fix you and change you and release you from those demons that you're dealing with. And that's what it is. It's freaking to beat demons like in your head, like freaking making you want to think all these things, these awful things, and it doesn't stop. It's an absolute replay, and it's darkness. It's literally darkness. And the Bible talks so much about darkness. It's not a fantasy world. It's not a game. It's not all this crap people think that's so funny to make fun of. It's real. Darkness is real. And when it takes over you, there's some people that can't get out of it. You can't. And it takes something else higher than you to pull you out of it and make you realize there's more to life than this. There's more to yourself than this. There's more to so much. There's so much more. There's so much more than worrying about this stuff. It's consuming. It's all consuming. It's just absolute darkness. You cannot get out of it. But there are so many scriptures in the Bible that literally talks about depression. And that's so cool that it's there, because Jesus knew all along we would deal with this shit. Jesus knew that we would struggle. He knew what we would go through. And he also said, guess what? Even though I know you're going to go through all this stuff, I know you're going to deal with all these things that are hurting you, breaking you apart. I am there. I will help you. I will be the light in the darkness, and I will help you fix yourself. Or I will fix you, because you can't do anything. You can't do nothing. But through Jesus, he can literally pull you out of those pits and do those things that you could never, ever, ever, ever imagine to do. And it's amazing when those things happen. if you just actually, let go and let those things happen, because that's what you got to do.